welcome Patrick Pouyanné, or in French, bienvenue.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your invitation. I'm sorry not to be with you in Berlin, but I'm just flying back from Houston, and I have to go to London. So I'm staying in Paris for a few hours, and happy to be with you this afternoon.
Yeah, we are very happy to have you with us here today. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Pouyanné, let's start with your recent experience in Houston. I've picked out an interesting quote from Amin Nasser, the CEO of Saudi Aramco, who said in Houston, "We should abandon the fantasy of phasing out oil and gas." So what's your take on that? Is phasing out oil and gas just a fantasy, or will it become a reality?
No, I think the wording which was adopted by all the countries in Dubai for the COP28, which was transitioning away, is a good expression. Transitioning away of the fossil fuel has to be organized. It's an orderly transition. I think it's a reality. We have to face the climate change. In fact, what is behind, I think, Nasser wording is more that, and I will take the image that I'm using regularly. Today, we have an energy system, which is our life today, which is 80% of fossil fuel. 80% of the whole energy of the world is with fossil fuels today. And so, in order to, we have to move from this system A, what I will describe, to a new system B, which will be with decarbonized energy and low carbon energy. But there is one thing which we cannot do, is to give up today on fossil fuels as long as we do not have built the new system. And that's a big priority, I think, which was put in Dubai as well. Triple renewable energy investments between today and 2030. Because as long as we don't have rebuilt a new system, we cannot just say we'll diminish the system which exists today. And all that's a question of phasing out, but finding the right pace to do it. So I would say it's not a fantasy, the idea but we have to transitioning away. Transitioning means to do it at a certain pace, gradually. We know that the scientists told us it's urgent, but the reality, what we face is a society. It's our life, not only in the Western world, in Germany and France, but we have also to take into account what happens in the emerging countries, where today energy is at the core of their legitimate will to getting out of poverty, to have a better way of life. So that's why it's complex. So I would agree and disagree with what Nasser said. I think clearly we have to find, and without any doubt, we have to build this new decarbonized energy system with renewables, with biomass, with nuclear, with plenty of new energies, because otherwise our planet, we have a problem, us on the planet. So we need to do it. It's a matter of at which pace can we really build this new system, knowing that, there is something in oil and gas that people don't know regionally, is that if we don't invest, each year we lose 4% of the production.
Okay.
There is a natural decline. That's why we need to have to invest today in this oil and gas.
Yeah, field. We will get into that topic a bit later, but let's stay for a moment on the current situation. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Germany decided to cut off Russian gas, and not only Germany. Today, Russian pipeline gas in the EU went from over 40% in 2021 to about 8% in 2023, but still 8% are left. Should the import be completely banned, or is gas from Russia still indispensable in Europe?
I think, the way we replace the Russian gas is in particular with LNG. Last year, in 22, we have diverted to Europe 50 million tons of LNG, which were going to Asia. And to do it, we have just paid more than the rest of the world. That's why we had a huge hike of the price of gas last year. In this today, Europe is importing 110 million tons of LNG, still 20 million tons of Russian LNG. 20 million tons is 5% of the world market. If we ban today, immediately, this Russian LNG, then we will face another issue, because the increase of production in 24, for example, of new LNG is limited to something like 8 million tons. So that means if we ban it today, we'll have to, again, to create to find this LNG, because we need it for European consumers to heat the homes of Europeans. And again, we'll have to pay more And so today, I would say it's premature. I don't speak about the pipe gas that you mentioned. I know the pipe gas today is used by some Central European countries. I don't know exactly the situation, but globally we know that it's difficult to ban because the replacement for these countries by LNG, again, will be another coal. So the good news is that we are building new LNG plants around the world, in the US, in Qatar, and other countries. By 2027, we'll have a lot of capacity coming on stream, and then we can consider. Today, honestly, and it's difficult because I perfectly understand the political dilemma that we all face with this war at the door of Europe in Ukraine. And, but the reality is that if we do it today, if we ban it completely, we'll face another gas price crisis because, again, we don't have any alternative source rather than just paying more than the rest of the world to bring it to Europe.
Well, I mean, the dilemma is the brutal war of Russia in Ukraine, and it's not only about that. With geopolitical tensions on the rise, like the Houthi rebels attacking in the Red Sea, how secure is Europe's energy supply right now? Do you see any impact on the situation due to the attacks in the Red Sea?
No, honestly, I think there is no real impact because, you know, we have decided quite quickly in TotalEnergies in 20th of December, very early stage, to stop using the Red Sea travel through the Suez Canal, either for LNG tanker or for the oil tanker. We go around the Africa. It takes 4 more days. The reality is that 4 days, oil and gas is not a just-in-time industry. It's not like car manufacturing, so it can have an impact on some supply chain for the car manufacturing industry because it's 4 days. But for us in this industry, we have some large inventories. So it could have a marginal impact in some countries in cost. It has a cost, in fact, fundamentally. In particular, some countries in the East Mediterranean Sea, which were, in fact, it's longer for them to go in Mediterranean rather than through Suez Canal. But fundamentally, no, we can cope with it. And by the way, you didn't see any disturbances because of these stopping using these the Red Sea for oil tanker or LNG tankers. We have enough inventory. So it has, unfortunately, an impact on the cost because the travel is longer. So you can see petroleum products have increased a little their cost to integrate these additional
But with this situation, can we expect the prices to go down anytime soon?
That's the question that I cannot answer. I think today, on the oil side, to be honest, it's clear that the Gaza conflict somewhere, because it's a Middle East stability which is at stake. And you know, we have observed that the conflict is limited, I would say, even if it's a terrible conflict to Gaza and Israel. It did not go beyond, I would say, to the other Arab countries, which are quite large producers. But if the conflict lasts, and unfortunately, if there is an expansion in these countries, that might push the price up. So as long as it be clear, personally, I don't see a lot of progress in the way peace could be achieved quickly. I think this geopolitical element is keeping the price of oil around $80, $85 per barrel, and even it has pushed it up a little. So that's I think it's integrated in the market. If we are finding a way to find the peace, it could relax this sentiment of a potential crisis on the oil-producing countries.
Big industrial players, for example, like BASF, have already shut down some of their plants because of the high energy prices. Are these prices pushing Europe towards deindustrialization?
That's another important question. In fact, the reality is that, you know, even if we are not maybe conscious of it, the Russian gas, which was delivered to Europe, the pipe gas in particular, at a very low price, in fact, because it's onshore gas, was giving us a sort of competitive advantage, including for the chemical industry in Germany or other industries. We will get rid of it. And I think whatever there is a peace, I'm convinced that Europe will not come back to import 150 BCM from Russia. Maybe a little more than today, but coming not back on the over-reliance to Russia because we lost somewhere confidence in energy security is fundamental. So that means that today, if we want to gas, we import it from LNG, and LNG is more expensive than pipe gas for sure, and that pushed the price of energy up. That's a reality. So we have to adapt our industries. It does not mean necessarily desindustrialization, because in fact, we have also, in my company, I've invested €1 billion in the last 2 years to save energy. I said we need to engage in a huge program of saving energy, energy saving, in particular because not only it's good for I would say our results, because energy is more expensive. So if you consume less, we'll pay less. And secondly, we have less emissions as well. So we told to all the teams are very active. We found plenty of ideas. So I think for me, this hike of energy price is an opportunity to accelerate the energy efficiency in all our industries. And I'm optimistic about it because when I see the way our teams and TotalEnergies have reacted, they find 400 projects around the world, and in particular in Europe, to be more efficient. So let's use it. So what is also true is that in Europe, we have accelerated with the Green Deal our will to decarbonize the industry. So it's another opportunity to be at the forefront. It's clear that being at the forefront of the European industry, if at the same time we let our borders open to the competition, and if we don't take some action at the European level to protect somewhere our industries which are facing higher energy price, but also higher demand, higher regulations on our emissions, that will be detrimental. So I think we need to think to what the EU wants as an industry for the 21st century. And if we really want an industry, I think European leaders have also to take actions in order to protect somewhere from, I would say, the competition, which does not have the same requirement in terms of emissions and carbon emissions. That's, I think, a big debate, and the energy crisis is adding on the debate. So I think there is a call in what BASF is selling, or I think recently ExxonMobil said the same. We need to wake up in the European to say that if we really want heavy industry to remain in Europe, we cannot just add some weights on our industry if we don't find a way to protect it. And we have a good argument to protect it if we have less emissions than the rest of the world.
Should Germany have kept its nuclear plants?
It's difficult for I would say it's a complex country. Rationally,
I'm sure you can answer it.
No, rationally, I would answer yes, because I think it's a decarbonized industry. But I know that in Germany, there is a huge consensus about not keeping this nuclear plant. So it's difficult for me to answer instead of the German. It's really a question of democracy. And having said that, for TotalEnergies, if we are investing now in Germany, in particular, it's linked to that decision. Because Germany is clearly embarking in an energy mix for electricity of, in fact, fundamentally renewables and gas instead of coal and nuclear. That's exactly the strategy of my company. That's why recently we are beginning to invest heavily in the electricity market in Germany. So I think I respect the decision. I think from a pure industrial point of view, nuclear was an efficient way to deploy a low carbon energy, but again, it has other drawback, and I will not substitute myself to the public debate in Germany.
As you just mentioned, Total is investing in Germany. You won bids for 2 wind farms in Germany's North and Baltic Sea. Will they be operational by 2030, or do you see any hurdles coming up on the horizon?
No, for the time being, we progress, and clearly, definitely, we want to make them operational. It's very high on our agenda, to be clear. We have a strong commitment. By the way, we made a strong bid to get them. So until now, it's progressing well, I would say, with all the agencies. In fact, these offshore wind farms, the German government has taken the duty to bring the connection offshore, so it's also part of the equation. So my reply, nothing until now which would derail us to deliver this electricity by 2030, and it's very high on our agenda. And by the way, since we have taken these wind farms, we have made over-investment in the electricity markets by acquiring other companies, an aggregator of renewable energy, and a company which we are building batteries in Germany, because the more you have renewable, the more you need to be able to store the energy. It's an intermittent energy. And we intend, by the way, as well, we have discussions with different players to participate to building new gas-fired power plants. You know, a system, at the end, the customer, they need a clean and firm power. Firm, that means 7 days on 7, 24 hours for 24. And so we need to build a system, and this is the ambition, where we have some renewable intermittent sources, but we have also some flexible assets, either battery or gas plants, in order to deliver that clean, firm power to customers. And that's a strong ambition for TotalEnergies. Germany is really high in our agenda to deploy our strategy in electricity.
But even though you're investing in renewables, Total is still heavily invested in fossil fuels. So is your commitment to climate goals real, or is it just greenwashing?
No, it's real. No, we invest $5 billion or 5 billion euro even in 23. So if greenwashing,
but 70% of the revenue is still coming from oil and gas, no?
Yeah, but you know it's growing quickly. We had nothing in 2020. We have built in 5 years a business in electricity. We have 25, which represent 25 gigawatts in the world. We have grown from almost nothing investment to 5 billion euro. The ambition is to have that it represents 20% of the company by 2030. We have last year, for the first time, issued our results in this integrated power business. It's more than $2 billion of generation, return on capital employed 10%. So yes, we continue to invest in oil and gas, 12 billion. But you know, it's like the world. We make our own transition. If we stop investing in oil and gas, there is a natural decline of 4% per year. Then I can tell you, the price of oil and gas will be much higher than what it is today, even if a lot of customers complain about $85 per barrel. So it's exactly the equation. It's an and equation. It's not or. Mm-hmm. We need to continue to invest in the system, energy system of today, which is full of fossil fuel, but we need as well, at the same time, to invest to build a new system. And this is exactly the transition in which TotalEnergies is embarked. The idea is that by 2050, we imagine that this company will primarily be an electricity producer and seller. We were starting from nothing, and we are accelerating. So when the accusation of greenwashing, when we have 25 gigawatts in 5 years or 4 years, when we have investing 5 billion euro, when we are winning some tenders in Germany to build another 3 gigawatts, I don't understand. And I think, honestly, it's back to your first question. There is no way to make the transition and to be accepted by the customers if we push the price too high. They will all complain, and we see, by the way, in Europe, you know, when German farmers or French farmers complain because we want to tax, I would say, their gas oil or their fuel oil for their tractors, I'm not sure we progress, you know. And so we must be careful to find the right pace to do that. Mm. And the transition in TotalEnergies is really embarked, and I'm proud to have it. Most of our competitors don't do that, but in TotalEnergies, it's a very serious strategy, because we believe fundamentally that electricity is the energy for decarbonization. Mm.
You're also
even to make green hydrogen, we need electricity.
You're also investing into electric mobility in Germany, planning to set up 166 fast charging stations along highways. But at the moment, we see possibly halting the phase-out of combusting engines. So are you worried about the future of your venture?
No, I think, I'm not worried. I think the EU, I think, is really embarking the Green Deal. I don't know if the 2035 will remain as an absolute target, or it will be maybe delayed by a few years. I'm not in the car manufacturing industry, but on our side, what is clear is that we have decided that it's chicken and egg. You know, if you want customers to buy EVs, they need to find fast charging stations. Otherwise, they will not see the infrastructure. They are afraid. So our duty to us is also to invest in this equipment, in particular for long distance. It's changing a lot our business model. You know, people will not go to retail station to charge their EV. They will charge it at home, at the office, but on the long distance, they need to find this fast charging station. So we'll take our share. It's a new market. We know that today we don't have many customers, but you know, we have the capacity, and it's our contribution as well to the energy transition. Europe has really embarked. Is it 2035 or a few years later or neither? It's not so important. But as long as we don't make our share of equipment, the customers will not be, they want to keep the freedom of mobility. So they need to get the insurance. But whenever they took their car, the EV car, they will find somewhere a fast charging station, and TotalEnergies is willing to be an important player in that field in Germany and in other Western Europe.
But we will see if there are Chinese cars charging at the stations or still German cars. But that's another discussion.
But you should ask that to the CEO of Volkswagen or Mercedes, not to TotalEnergies. Yeah. I accept all the cars to my station.
Great. So, well, the outlook for Germany's economy is not so rosy, even again in 2024. Today we are wrapping up our conference with Robert Habeck, the Minister for Economics. Which advice do you have for him on getting Germany back on the growth track?
Yeah, I think I've been surprised in the way that I would say it's a question of confidence, of trust. And I think the German industry was very powerful and still has, I think, some clear advantage in terms of innovations. You didn't lose everything because the energy is more costly. I see my friends, CEOs of German companies, which are reacting very quickly. I think in France we have been more, I would say, we have an history of competitiveness. So, in fact, of managing some competitiveness. So, my advice would be that you need to have a plan, a pragmatic plan, and be careful not to add too many requests to your German industry at the same time. It's again, like for the society, a question of pace at which you can make all these transitions. If the people have the feeling that it's too complex, and they will look to other areas of the world. And you know, when you compare today the situation in Europe, in Germany, and Germany is not very different from the rest of Europe, to the US, where I was, the feeling is very different, because again, there is a feeling that in the US, that it's not only regulating the emissions and the industry, it's also supporting the new industry. And so we need to think in Europe to the right balance between regulations and support investments, because one way to make the transition is also somewhere to help industry to create a new offer. And the larger it will be, the quickest the cost will be there and will be accepted by customers. So I think Germany has plenty of arguments, innovation, quality of people as well. They did not disappear because the Russian gas has disappeared. So it's a question of self-confidence, and I'm sure the German industry will find its way to get it back.
We'll see. Thank you.
If French CEOs can help them, we'll do it.
Thank you so much for your optimistic outlook, Patrick Pouyanné. It was great having you here to share your insights. Have a great afternoon. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir à Paris.
Au revoir. Thank you.